This episode is brought to you by Barefoot Dreams. Look around my studio, guys. Look around my house. Look around my life. The sponsor for this season has given me the greatest, most comfortable products I've ever felt. It's called Cozy Chic Fabric. It's on everything they have. And one thing I love that they do is they have these partnerships with brands. You can get Barbie swag, Team USA, Disney, so many cool integrations with this stuff. But besides what they do with other companies, they do make the comfiest stuff I've ever felt. And I've been kind of swimming in them. If that's not really what they wanted me to say about it, but I've been swimming in the material, basically just finding myself cozy, chic'd up every night, every day. Every time we record a podcast in here, people feel more comfortable this season because they're kind of cozying up on the couch now. That's so comfortable from Barefoot Dreams. So I want to thank them for being a part of this season, guys. We've got a few episodes left this season, which has been going so great. I've had so much fun, and we're still rocking. And because Barefoot Dreams is a part of this season, you can put the promo code in PAPA15 for 15% off your first purchase at barefootdreams.com. Let's get into it.
And then I got on that crazy character thing. I got on Star Search, and I won an episode.
Wow.
And then this is third year in stand-up.
That's crazy.
And then I stamped my foot and walked off when I lost to Martin Lawrence, whoever that is, you know.
Yeah, right. You know, I love when people get to come to this studio because you just never know who's going to come in. I'm grateful to be doing comedy enough where I meet very cool people. And this guy, we just did a show together, and he's like, yeah, I'll come hang. And our show is very far away from here, and he lives far away. And he also was the most particular about his camera angles so far as a guest on this podcast.
Not particular.
Put your hands together for Jason Stuart, everybody.
I wasn't that. I just like to see how I'm going to look and where to sit. And
I want you to know, because I was going to say, it was a name drop. The only person ever to look at their shop before we recorded ever in my career was Mariah Carey.
Oh, really?
It's Mariah Carey, and then it's you. So that's good company.
Oh, my God.
It's good company.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, let's hear your high falsetto.
And I will always love you. Ooh.
That wasn't bad.
Ooh.
You have it. You have it in there.
I used to sound better before I started working on my voice. Around 10 or 12 years ago, I started working on my voice.
What'd you do?
I wanted to lower it because I was getting older and I wanted to act in things where I have power. And I think when my voice was really high when I was younger, it's because I was scared all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Fear. Oh, my God. Yeah. I was always afraid.
How do you actually learn to lower a voice consciously? Is it exercises?
You just do it like this. Hey,
Cigarettes and whiskey?
Paul, I just want to talk to you about something. Why don't you come over to my house? I need you to have a sandwich with me.
See, that's more like arrestable. That's not like employable. That sounds like
what do you mean arrestable? You're over 21. You can do whatever you want.
Why?
Call your wife and ask her for that one out, and the one out is Jason Stuart.
I mean, he wants me to go gay. We're 2 minutes in.
Just over the weekend.
Just over the weekend.
I'm not gay every day either. I can't. It's so exhausting.
Is it?
I'm only gay on the weekends. At Friday, I start it up, and then Saturday, I'm in there.
You're
Sunday,
smart.
I just lie down because I'm so tired, and then Monday, I'm moving furniture with you and your friends.
See, you're smart. You've scheduled out your gayness. That comes with wisdom and years. Right?
Definitely, yeah. I'm too tired.
Yeah, dude, I feel too tired as well. I get that.
Yeah. Well, you don't look tired.
No, it's because I just had some caffeine. I do it a lot.
I'm sure you do it a lot.
I do want people to know about, because you talked about getting roles. I am curious, before we get into your career.
Sure.
Did you help? Did your lowering of the voice help you get roles?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I wanted to, well, it's a whole trajectory of my career. So, and it all comes, and I tell you, I saw the movie Origin that Ava DuVernay directed, starring I'm saying it wrong.
I haven't seen it.
Anjanou Ellis Taylor, who I work with on Birth of a Nation.
Oh, cool.
Not in the same scene, but in the same movie. Anjanou Ellis Taylor. And I realized that this word cast, which I didn't even know what it was, Isabel Wilkinson wrote this Pulitzer Prize-winning book called Cast, and about how we cast ourselves in a role and put ourselves in a box in our life. So I think that's the way my whole life has been, my whole career, being a Jewish person, having a father that was a Holocaust survivor, not the camps, but the ghettos, and growing up with my dad, being a gay person in America, and growing up, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, trying to figure out who I was and where I fit in. So I put myself in this box, and the first box was, I didn't even know that people could tell I was gay. I didn't even get it because it didn't exist. And you go in like this with this whole idea of who you are. And then when I realized that people were treating me the same way in show business as they did in school, they limited me, they teased me, they grabbed me. I mean, all that stuff. God, you wouldn't. Mostly straight guys, and all
Closeted straight guys, maybe.
Pardon? No,
Closeted?
not
No?
closeted. No, it's a power thing. It's not a sex thing.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think it's a power
So
thing.
like how women would feel in Hollywood. you're
Exactly,
saying.
but because I was, people would feel that was okay to do that, and those days it was okay to do that. It was, you had to be able to hold your own. And I started doing stand up because I couldn't get a job as an actor. I've been acting since I was a baby boy, and then when I started doing stand up, my fear and my sort of hysterical act, not hysterically and funny, but hysterical and. I would wear leopard pants and a zebra jacket or a purple lame jacket, and I'd spike up my hair and I'd put colors in it. I was like Prince meets Richard Simmons.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And I would say I'd wear leopard pants and a zebra jacket, and I'd dance in a circle because I didn't want anybody to know I was gay. The Judy Tenutas, God bless her, and Pee Wee Herman, God bless her. Oh, God, everybody's passed. All these kind of, Emo Phillips, all those kind of acts were very in vogue then. And I thought, I'll be a character comedian because I was an actor.
Right.
And that's where my roots are. So I thought, I'm a character comedian. I'll be a character. And then I got on that crazy character thing. I got on Star Search and I won an episode.
Wow.
And then this is third year in stand-up.
That's crazy.
And then I stamped my foot and walked off when I lost to Martin Lawrence, whoever that is.
Yeah, right.
And because our careers have gone parallel. No, he was very sweet and very, very multi-talented guy. And he even talked about me once on, I think it was Montel.
Nice.
And he was so sweet, because it's on YouTube now.
Sure.
And where I stamp my foot and walk off because
wanna
he's
see
so
this.
famous. Because that's when Martin won on Star Search. And when he stamped his foot on, I think it's on my website.
We're going to cut to it right now. We already did.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's there.
And
That's
you
awesome.
can see that at the time it was so funny, in the audience because no one did that because everybody would shake their hands and go, oh, isn't this great that I lost? And I thought that was so funny. And then in my head, this is how nuts I am. In my head, my reference was Lily Tomlin at the Oscars in 1976 for when she was up for Nashville, when she wore a prom dress. And when she lost to Lee Grant, she got up and walked out.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to do this. If it worked for Lily, it's going to work for me.
Yeah.
But she was sort of crying. I was just sort of in a huff. And then at the beginning of the YouTube, people would write things and it was sort of sweet. And then by the end, it was really brutal. How dare I do this? Who
dare
is
you?
that guy? What happened to his career?
Right, right. Well, how do you feel about the decision looking back now? Because it sounds funny that you did that.
I think it's cool. It's part of my
Yeah.
legacy. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah.
And I think Martin understands. And, it's just sort of a goofy 20-something thing.
I love it. I want to go back to the box thing because you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm intrigued about the concept because one of my buddies told me once about how we're all in. He says jars. He says we're all in jelly jars, and everyone else can see our label on the outside, but we don't have the viewpoint to see how people see us. We were talking about this before. So like our label looks different to others, but we can't. We're inside of the jar, so we can't see it. It's sort of a box concept, a little bit. Does that make sense?
Those are two different things. I'll tell you why. So the box is something we actually put ourselves in, and we put ourselves because of the construct of this society. So being a Jew and having a father who didn't speak English really well put me in a box of somebody that had something different.
Right.
Not a lot of people had family members that spoke with such a thick accent.
What's the accent?
My father
from?
was Polish, so he talked like
yeah.
this, and he would say, why do you have to scream? Why do you have to yell? Why can't you just be quiet? Keep your head down. Do your work. Shut up. And he was very pragmatic about everything, and he was all about making money so nobody would be hungry, and they would have things that it always touches my heart.
Oh,
Because my dad always wanted us to have everything that he didn't have.
yeah.
He's passed away now this month, 12 years.
Wow.
So
That's that
it's-
generation as well.
Yeah, and very much so.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot. I was very, very tenacious, always. I had my eye on the prize of what I was going to do, always.
But to me, I'm sensing the box is negative, but it's almost like a defect and an asset.
Well,
It's both things.
as a gay guy, definitely, because I didn't exist. And, so I'd always, not only would people tell me how limited I was, I would buy it, sell it. And when I came out on TV in 93, I came out on an episode of the Geraldo show called Unconventional Comedians.
Jason Stuart.
That was a box that I put myself in that was quite lucrative at the time.
Right.
But the box had a ceiling. And
Right.
it was like this much room. See, there was this much room.
And when you say the box, like unconventional, you mean putting yourself in these titles?
Well, that's what they call the episode on Geraldo, and they were all comedians are unconventional.
Right.
Paul Mooney was on as the angry black man. My friend Sheila Kay was on for losing weight. Kathy Buckley was on because she was hearing impaired, and Sandy Church was on because she was a little person. And I orchestrated that whole thing. I got all those people on. And my friend Marcy Smolin and I sent press releases on my fax machine in my apartment from my company.
Wow.
And I sent it to all the daytime talk shows because they were so popular. And Sally Jesse and Geraldo called.
Wow.
And Sally Jesse was not as popular. It was the order was Phil Donahue.
Yep, of course.
Geraldo Rivera. Oprah was third. Then Sally.
Damn.
That's at that 93.
Those shows were so viewed. I mean, they were crazy. They
when
were
you were on a
big.
show like that, you were everywhere.
Yeah.
It changed my entire life, and I became the gay guy.
Yeah.
And I started headlining clubs, and I had a personality, I had a point of view where I didn't have that when I first started. I was just doing my crazy act, about my punk rock girlfriend. I put my hand out of the car, she put her cigarette out in it. All this kind of crazy. Girls don't find me sexually stimulating. I don't know why. All this crazy stuff. And I talked about my family and stuff. But I didn't have. I couldn't really headline with that act for that long, and when I became myself, it was quite a relief.
It's a confusing thing though, because you're talking about how people see us and stuff. Like brass tacks as a comedian, you do have a few seconds for an audience to go, this guy's gonna be. It's kind of hard to. Obviously, you can break out and tell stories and do different forms of your material, but we're immediately sized up and placed in a box in people's brains within 10 seconds, aren't we?
Oh, I think I think. Well, it's so different now. Oh, sorry, I got something stuck.
You're good. You want a toothpick? You want a cigar?
No, I had a turkey sandwich from this really cool place called Mike's near the airport. Anyway, on the way over here from my best buddy Kareem's house. What was I?
You have 10 seconds. I said.
Right. It's so different now because in my day, you would not have beautiful people doing comedy. You wouldn't have somebody as handsome as Matt Rife or as beautiful as Nikki Glazer, all that kind of thin, great bodies, workout. You just didn't have that. It was just so unusual. So now there's so many different points of view. So if you came on stage, you had to acknowledge who you were immediately,
right.
Or else they'd, you see somebody good looking on stage, and all of a sudden the guy who came to the club with his girlfriend for date night is really pissed off because the girl is looking at the guy and thinking, God, he's hot. So he's not paying attention to your act, and she's looking at him, and so you lose half your audience. Or a pretty girl coming on stage wearing something, sexy, make the girls angry, and then the guy is looking, and they're not thinking about her joke.
Right.
So that kind of formula doesn't exist much anymore. And also having an opening joke and being, some people just graze into their shows.
Right.
And it isn't even funny there's not a joke. I was told, joke at the beginning, do great, close big, open big, close big. And now people just do whatever, they just sort of wander off and, do whatever they want. The comedy's so different. It's funny in a very different way.
Yeah.
It's what we would call alternative funny.
Right.
Alternative comics, where they would tell long stories and have just, Dave Chappelle, look, brilliant. Closest to Dick Gregory we've ever had, or George Carlin.
Right.
And he's not a bam, bam, bam comedian. He tells these long, intricate stories with bubbles of laugh, and then he hits you at the end.
Right. It's so interesting because that's why I love meeting you and the decades you have in the form is like the art form has changed so much. But
40 years.
That's amazing.
40 years.
This year?
No, it's going to be 41 in May.
Wow. Congrats. It's incredible.
And 31 in June. June for being out.
Wow. Oh, so you did stand up for 10 years before you told people you were gay?
I acted for a long time.
Wow.
Could not get arrested.
Wow.
It's just really hard.
Yeah.
It was really, really hard. But I didn't care because I thought, I'm it.
Yeah.
My first job was on a show called Lifetimes of Eddie Roberts, and I had a guest starring role. I was 19. I thought, this is it. This is how it's going to be. And I dropped out of community college.
As you should. You got the role.
Yes. And the thing is about me is I should stop saying I couldn't get arrested. I always had spurts of jobs. And I was always smart because I was always ahead of the game. Like I used to pay my rent a month in advance.
Damn, that's nice.
Because I thought, well, if I can't pay it, I have a month to figure
That's
it out.
that old school Polish ingrained survive, make sure you're fed.
Because because there were years that I couldn't make a living for the first 10 years.
Sure.
Of my career. I didn't start to make a living until I was in my late 20s.
In show business.
Yeah.
That's a challenge with show business that I resent a little bit is like you can make a living 1 month and then the next month, it's really touch and go for a long time. It's not as glamorous as we believe when we see people working in it.
No, there's no glamour.
It's a grind.
Once in a while, something really glamorous happens.
Right. You're on a red carpet maybe or something like, oh wow.
And I've had the moment when I call it, I touch the hem of the skirt of being in a film that was considered for Oscars. I've been in TV shows that were considered that, had Emmy nominations. I've worked with everyone from Glenn Close to George Clooney to Damon Wayans to Faye Dunaway to Arnold Schwarzenegger to Carol Baker. I mean, Oscar, Angela Lansbury, Laurie Metcalf. When I think about it, I'm so lucky.
Yeah. But you worked hard for it.
Yeah. But when I think about it at this age, because there are days, that now that I'm getting older, I think that's the new thing. It's the age thing. I go into my dentist office. There isn't one person over 50 on the walls. And I said, I'm not coming back until you put some old people on the walls.
Targeted advertising. Who are you advertising
Yes,
to?
and I live in Palm Springs. And damn it.
No, the demo. Right?
Yeah. We don't just see a lot of young people or all these people that had facelifts. I don't want to see that shit.
Maybe you're in the wrong state for that one. I don't know. I mean, you need to go to somewhere else. You go to Minnesota, you go see no facelift photos.
Oh, no, they're everywhere. It's those people. It's a whole race now of people. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, God, everything's really pretty here. I'm so depressed though today.
Yeah. I have a joke that I keep doing in LA. I call it Los Angeles. Los Angeles, because that's how it is here when you walk around.
What do you mean?
Thank God I'm on the dating apps. I just feel like you're just swiping through big lips. The next fake big lips. Who would I want to go out with?
Does your wife have big lips?
She has beautiful natural lips. Yeah.
Oh, good for her.
So I like real things, but in all forms. It goes for comedy and stand up and the arts, and I like when things are real and authentic. I think that's what you're talking about with this box idea, though, is you ended up finding you put yourself in a box in your own mind, but you also
it's really hard to get out.
But you also were authentic to who you are. No?
Yeah, but you buy that box, and see that it's not. These are all separate things now. So this is a concept that you probably don't understand yet, because I didn't understand it yet. It's so brand new. The idea that we take the limitations that people put on us, and we buy and we sell it and we stay in there. Why are there so many gay men that are hairdressers or interior decorators or hotel clerks or waiters? Why are they all in jobs that are identified the beginnings with women? Because because women didn't care if a gay man worked at a job, and those jobs had no power, and they didn't want women to have any power. So, I had 10 deals in the 90s until 2004 or 5 to do TV series. Not one of them got through.
Whoa.
From my stand-up, people wanted to do shows with me, and not one of them paid me any money. Whereas my straight counterparts, whether it be Damon Wayans, Drew Carey, Roseanne Barr, Brett Butler, all the people I grew up with, they all, they look like people who they thought, were people in America, where I don't exist, is what people always say. What do they say on the Princess Cruise? The Enchanted Enchanted Princess Cruise I just did. And they said, you're really too hip for this. And you're so direct and you're so in your face.
Yeah.
And I thought that's like that. It's like, code for Jew.
But wait, do you still feel hasn't it swung the other way more now? Like, do you still feel limited now with who you are?
Do I feel limited?
Yeah.
No.
You have.
I do not feel
like you're more out of the.
I don't feel limited at all, but I do feel that a lot of people still think I'm limited.
Okay.
So you can get a job as a gay guy in a film.
Can I?
Yeah, and they're not going to say, oh, he's gay, he can't do anything else. You can next week play a murderer. Me, it's going to be a little harder. I have to prove it.
Prove that, well, Was
I
this
have
also
to prove it. Yeah, but I don't
Right.
think a lot of people, I think of it like when I was doing Birth of a Nation, I had this big time publicist and I was going to everything. And people said, how did you get invited? I said, well, I paid for it. I got to pay the publicist to get invited. And they were giving Tom Hanks an award for being the everyman. Now, I love me some Tom Hanks.
Sure.
Love. But why is he the everyman?
He seems
Because
like,
he's white. He appears to be Christian. He's attractive, but not too much.
right.
And he appears to be straight. So that makes him able to play a gay guy, a pilot, a Southern guy, an astronaut, a lawyer, a doctor, an Indian chief.
Evergreen, vanilla.
Exactly.
More, yeah.
Where that never happened for me.
Yeah.
And I coach people occasionally now, and I mentor people, and actors and comedians. And I say, if you want to act in something else, you have to show them that you can do it.
Yeah.
I flew to Savannah, Georgia, after I did a tape for playing a white heterosexual Christian plantation owner in 1831, being a gay liberal Jew. I flew on my own dime to Savannah, Georgia, to audition for that movie, and I proved that I could do that part. I
Yeah.
never thought I'd get it,
Right.
but I knew I could do it.
What you're talking about is breaking down kind of stereotypes and stigmas that come with not just sexuality, but everything. We all,
It's life. It isn't just show business. It's life.
Yeah. But I do think, I guess I'm trying to push that. I would like to think, and maybe I'm wrong, that it is changing
100 times
in a better
better.
way.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Much better. More open. More exciting. More, open. I think it's over 40, under 40. Most people under 40 don't care.
Right.
They don't care if you're gay or straight or what you are or BIPOC or what is it, God, there's so many terms now. You're pansexual, you're a frying pan, you're a puddle of water, you're changeable, well, what's the thing where you're not a man, you're not a woman, you're
But non-binary?
non-binary. That's the new thing. A non-binary,
It's the whole thing.
You're
Which is hard to learn when you're talking.
I don't even know. You have to ask. You can't tell. I can't.
know.
I used to, we knew the gays, we knew the straights, we knew the butches, we know the femmes. That was it. Boys, girls, that was it.
Is there, I know.
And the women, the
Of
lesbians
course.
were the women, the gay guys were boys.
Yeah, yeah. It's a different generation of
Very different.
that world, right?
Yeah, and then there's the thems. The them.
That's
people.
the non-binary, isn't it?
I don't know. Not everybody who's non-binary identifies as the them.
You joke about this, right?
I do a little.
I think you did a joke.
I
the
do.
other
I
night.
have a whole thing about it, but it's like we started at gay, and then we went through all that stuff that I just said, and then we turn around and then we're queer, and that was what they wrote on my locker when I was a kid.
Everything that you got bullied for is now
Now in vogue.
In.
It's hard. It's hard to go. Oh yeah, call me a queer. Can I say f you?
right. Like you don't want to wave the flag because it's hurtful.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I don't mind waving the flag. Just don't use the word on the flag that they wrote on my locker so they could beat the crap out of me. And where was I when we chose queer? I was not there. I wasn't there that day. No one asked for my vote.
Right.
All of a sudden, I was queer. I just turned around. And now I'm old. How did that happen?
Right.
God.
It ties to the age thing, though, this topic about living through hard things. And I think kids today are not, and maybe this is a hot take that's not appropriate. It's not my world, but it is. It was a lot harder for you to go through what you went through at your age, to be gay and to have the upbringing you had than kids today. That's just a fact, is it not?
Well, I believe when a publicist wrote this about me, when you break the ground, do you get to walk on it? I believe that I should. Some people don't. They when you get older and you have craft and you have all that, you still have to have the roots of those years before to be able to be considered for the parts and the roles that you want, or the comedy festivals you want to be in,
yeah.
or whatever. You have to have those roots and that agent that loved you so much that's
Yeah.
with you since 1922.
We need cheerleaders, I've learned.
Yeah,
in this business.
and there's not a lot of people that cheer for older gay character actors who can also play straight, who have a lot of, there just aren't that, you don't have that.
I'm cheering for you.
Oh,
I'm not.
thank
I can't be your agent though because I'm not good at that. But I'm cheering for you.
Yeah, but on the other hand of that, I don't want people to think I'm a complainer. I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
I
Well,
make a
our,
living and I get to do what I want, and
that's the challenge of this
I can
business,
say
though.
no.
Yeah, but that's the challenge of the business too. I am similarly. We're constantly trying to figure out who we are, and also constantly trying to make up money. Right. I do think there's also this illusion.
See, but wait, that's where you're at because you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
So I am not. I don't feel. I'm not trying to figure out who I am. I know who I am.
That's great.
I know what I want. How I have to go. Okay, I have so and so amount of time left in my life. How much is that worth it to me to spend that time trying to get it?
Yeah.
Because time now is really important.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
And doing things that matter to me are important.
I think I know who I am, but I don't think I know. I think I'm still discovering the stand-up version of me. But that's because
how long have you been doing stand-up?
4 or 5 years.
You're a baby,
Yeah.
and you did you tour?
No, I haven't toured yet. I'm trying to
So
tour.
then you really haven't. You have to get out and tour.
Let's go.
I would tour with you in a minute.
I would love to. I'm dying to tour. I
Yeah.
got 2 kids at home. I'm trying to leave and go make strangers laugh
I don't
instead.
even like kids. I can't have kids because I have nice furniture. And, what do you do with a kid you don't like? What do you do? I don't know. You go to the clerk and say, "I'm sorry, this is not working." And then they say something like, "No, I don't want it. I don't want store credit. Keep it."
But my point is, the journey, like you're talking about the grind. I think like you get to a level of life where you're like the chase, because that's the chase is belabored in this. You're chasing, connecting. You have to remind people in this business every fucking day that you're doing what you do. Like it would be nice if you're like, hey, I just do. Don't you know I do this?
I'm ridiculous though.
Are you?
Oh, very. Because I feel like I'm the best now, especially as an actor. As a comedian, it's the audience, and you don't have as much control. But as an actor, you really do.
Yeah.
Especially with all the self-tape auditions, you get to watch yourself and go, "Okay, why am I doing this weird thing with my eye?"
Yeah.
That doesn't. Or why am I talking like this? And then all of a sudden, in the camera, they can't see. Or why am I? Why I'm so subtle, and it's like dead eyes. So I can redo it. And go, okay, what I worked on didn't come across.
Yeah.
And you can do your own, you get to act all the time, and you get to hang out with your friends and do reading. It's really fun.
It's fun.
I enjoy it, especially if the material's great. But I'm at this point where it's like Monday was the Oscar lunch, and I got a little weepy. And I thought, what am I getting? Am I ever going to win an Oscar? I don't think so. But I thought, God, okay, at this age, it's probably not going to happen for me. That carrot is gone. And, not that that it's about winning awards, because I have won awards. It's that when you win that kind of award, or you get nominated, or you're even in that world, which I have been a couple times, which sounds so weird to say when someone says this, you're watching a talk show or something, they'll go, God, that guy's really, what does he think? Is he crazy? Oh, God, I can't believe he's saying that. But when you have been in that world and you touch that, it's really, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
Because you're with all the talented people, and the more talented somebody is, the easier it is to work with them.
Yeah.
Because,
especially acting, yeah.
Because it's even other comedians.
Yeah. Because
when you're on a bill and the order is right and there's 3 or 4 of you and you're all great headliners, man, that's a great show.
Yeah, yeah.
You find out when there's no ego and everybody, I love that.
Yeah.
I love doing that. Or you're just doing a show by yourself and you're just in form and the audience is riding with you. There's nothing better. But when you're on a set with another actor and you're in a film that you care about and with a subject matter that means something to you, it's what I've thought about my whole life since I was telling a story and having you see a story about somebody that you have not seen before. That's what Birth of a Nation was for me. And I had done a couple other movies like that were not as successful as those, and didn't have as much hoo-ha about it. But going to Montreal with it, going to Sundance, watching them win awards, being on stage with these kind of people and allowed to be in this room. And I remember Nancy Utley, who was the head of Fox Searchlight. We're sitting in Montreal, Canada. Not Montreal, Toronto. And we're at the TIFF Film Festival. And we're in this room because the movie played twice in one night at 2 different theaters in the same complex. So it was this old theater. So we would go in, introduce the film, And then an hour later, we'd introduce the film again in the other theater. And then an
Nice.
hour later, we'd go in and close the film. And then an hour later, we'd close the film in
That's
another theater.
cool.
So we were there for literally 3 or 4 hours. And we're all hanging out. I'm with, Coleman Domingo and Armie Hammer and
Nice.
Nate Parker, Penelope Ann Miller, Ingenue Ellis. I mean, all these brilliant actors and filmmakers. Aaron Gilbert and, Jason Michael Berman, and just these wonderfully creative people who really love film and love telling stories. And she says, God, I'm so nervous, Nancy says. She says, you look so happy and so completely content. I said, you know why? She said, how do you do that? I said, because look where I am.
Yeah.
I've waited my whole life
I-
to be in this room.
Yeah.
And after having the most incredible creative experience with Nate Parker, who came to see my show the other night
No
at the
way.
Ice House,
Oh,
he
that's
just showed
cool.
up one night.
Oh, that's
And I
awesome.
was shocked.
Wow.
And I've known him 8 years now.
Yeah.
And it was just so wonderful, I still talk to Sean Baker, who I did Tangerine for.
Cool.
And I hope to work with him again.
I understand what you're describing, though. It's a level, but I do think with your credits, hundreds of movies and TV shows, right? I get it right?
Hundreds, yeah. Isn't that weird?
It's crazy. But with your credits, I feel like you're there. I think what you're describing is like you don't see yourself there, but you're already working that way, and you have for a long time.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying when it's at
But
the
COVID
highest.
has really messed up with my
Maybe.
head. COVID and then the 2 strikes, that's 4 years
Yeah.
of, sort of waiting.
Well, keep waiting because not that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I have a funny feeling something's going to happen this year. We've got an election coming up. I think before you're not going to go, you can't go outside, and if you go outside, you're going to melt to death. That's what they're going to say. Mark my words.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a scary
It's
time.
weird.
That's what I mean. Everything feels so unsettled.
Yes, I get that feeling.
And it's just
It's a weird time.
unfathomable
I'm going to Italy.
to live in this world.
I'm going to
right
Italy
now.
in November. Not that it's
Oh, yeah?
any better there government-wise, but I want to go there for the election and not be here and just drink wine and eat spaghetti and be on a mountaintop with my cousins and be like, oh, look, America's on fire, but we're here with the vino. But no, I can understand what you're saying is working as a creative myself. When you really play, what we're talking about is playing. I think you have a craft, obviously, in acting, but when you're playing at the highest level and it's all firing, the same for stand-up, right?
Oh,
we're playing
yeah.
on stage and we're killing.
You're partnering with the audience.
It's play. I'm going to define this as play because when you're playing at that level, it's the best thing in the world, and that's why we get addicted and want to do what we do. You are
It's that
addicted
moment.
to the play.
It's that thing that happens.
It's the magic.
that you can't see. It's unseeable. It's untouchable. And it's this moment when you just feel so connected to them, and they feel so connected to you. And the thing that people have said about me a lot is that I always look like I'm just making up my show.
Yeah, that's hard to do. You do.
And do you still feel that
Yeah,
way too?
that's hard
and
to
I
do.
think it's because I come from being an actor.
Totally.
And so I partner with the audience.
You play it. You can play it more real and down.
Yeah,
Because
it's just the way it's gone down for me. And even as an actor, that's my gift.
Yeah.
That and being able to improvise and to be able to change my physical behavior, my voice, my anything.
Yeah.
That's where I thrive.
Yeah, you're making acting sound like a lot of fun because I've done it on and off, but I'm not an actor per se like you. But
I
it
love
sounds like
it.
it is a lot of fun. From when I've done it, it is a blast, especially when you're improvising. I'm an improviser too. It's fun.
Comedy's my day job that I do at night.
Ah,
I love it, and it's given me a career because I didn't have it without it.
I'm curious. Once you did the daytime talk show, unconventional stand-up, that kind of launched you into becoming.
That was the
headliner.
Geraldo Rivera show. Yeah.
So you become a headliner from TV, right?
I had been in those days, I had done B Rooms as a headliner, and I was a very big middle actor. I didn't open on the road very much because I had TV credits.
Yeah.
So, and I had been doing comedy for 3 years, and I had been on Star Search and Merv Griffin, if you can imagine.
Wow.
In '86, and I had done and every year for like another 10 years, I did one of those stand-up shows.
Cool.
And Evening at the Improv or Showtime Comedy Club Network, and I was I had a certain notoriety, but I wasn't a headliner yet. A lot of people push themselves into being a headliner. It took me Let's see, 83, 90, around 10 years until I was a major headliner.
Yeah. And when you say major headliner, for people who don't fully understand, it means going on the road, selling tickets, selling out, going to clubs as the main act.
And doing
basically.
45 minutes.
And doing 45, exactly.
To 50 minutes, yeah. And that means when they put down the checks, which is a comedy club standard during the headliner, during the last 15 minutes, and everybody looks at their thing, oh, did you have the iced tea? I had the chicken wings. With those chicken fingers with yours, I didn't eat the chicken fingers. And they're all like, and all of a sudden you've lost the entire audience on one of your best bits. So you know at that moment you have to do something that, you just sort of let the audience breathe a little. You go into the audience for a while, and then you know that in around 3 minutes it'll be over.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to do that. And you have to have a big closer.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to get on the local TV network, their evening, their Ion whatever, or their local show. And I was lucky enough to have had credits on all those shows. And they didn't care in those days if I was on House 3 years ago. They'd show the clip on the Fox affiliate. Or when I was on My Wife and Kids, I had a recurring role. So they'd show something from that. And it didn't matter if it was, because TV was TV. It was cred.
Has the credits thing bothered you now? Because the currency's changed for stand-up. I don't mean for acting. But credits now are, look at all these people on the internet that know me. It's not so much I've been on 100. It's different, right?
It's harder for me because my generation of over 40 people, the internet does not rule them. They will pay money to go see something.
That's nice. That's how I love that.
And people under 40 don't want to pay for anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's long lasting. And I find that a lot of people that are internet people, not all, but a lot, are not ready to headline a room.
Yeah.
1 minute or, some funny thing talking to the audience. And a lot of times it's the audience member that's funny, not the guy, the gal that does
That's true.
the bit. And you're thinking, oh, they're not very, so when you meet them, if that audience thing doesn't happen, it's not, it's
right.
It's on the TV, on the internet, they're sort of manipulating it, editing it to make that work and cutting all the boring parts out, and then all of a sudden you have this minute clip or 2 minute clip where it's absolutely hysterical. And what I find interesting is they close caption everything now. Like people are too lazy to even listen.
We are, honestly. It's like you can't even do social videos without the closed caption. Because you know what it is? I think people are so addicted that we're watching when we should be quiet. So it's like my wife's sleeping next to me, my daughter's in bed, or not even me. In general, I'm at work. I'm watching a funny clip, but I can still watch it and not hear it. That's where we're at now.
The whole experience.
Well, that's because it's not stand-up. It's a clip on the internet.
No,
stand-up should be seen in person.
All the stand-up is now closed captioned.
I know, but what I'm saying is to defend the art
I do
form.
my own too. I'm doing my own clips now.
Oh, good.
I can do, but I know something happens where the clip is too small in iMovie, and I'm like this, and there's all this. I still not.
I could always help you. There's a great app I could share with you that can tweak everything for you. So you put it up, and it's closed captions. It's all for you.
What's the app?
CapCut.
I have CapCut.
Oh, you got to use it. It's the best.
But then what you have to you take it from the source of. We shouldn't be doing this on the show.
By the way, your phone's
my
ringing. But I'm taking this moment because I promised you something before and I didn't do it. And I wouldn't be a good host of this show if I didn't get you
Can you guys
coffee.
at home right now hear my phone buzzing?
Well, I'm going to get you a latte right now while we're sitting here. Speaking of the internet and this generation, I'm sitting here with you, ordering you coffee on the internet that will show up here. I still think that's amazing.
They're going to bring it here?
Yeah. What kind of latte do you want?
I would like a mocha latte with almond milk.
Wow, look at this guy.
Because I start Jenny Craig tomorrow, so I can eat anything I want today.
Well, Mariah Carey ordered the same thing.
Did she?
This is the second thing now.
No.
I just typed Mariah, my mocha latte.
God.
You're funny.
I loved her reality show. I loved it.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, to me, there's nothing better than watching a famous person on a reality show.
True.
Like you watch these housewives, I could care less. Who are they? I don't even know who they are.
Right.
I'm not interested. I love Farrah Fawcett, God bless her, when she was on hers on TV Guide channel, because TV Land channel, I think she did, because you could tell the whole time she didn't want to be on it. And it was so interesting to watch. Paula Abdul, I swear to God, it's like she didn't know the camera was on. I wanted to say, hey, girl, shut up.
Yeah.
You don't want people to know that you're that crazy.
Do you want regular milk?
Almond milk.
Oh, you said almond milk. Oh my gosh, look, I should be supposed to be a professional listener, and I got it wrong. Can you believe that? I usually am pretty good at listening, though. But
You're adorable.
I was distracted.
You're sweet. You're adorable.
thanks for thinking so. I always have this fear in this business, and you're a reminder too. You're a nice guy. This kindness matters, but also like you think of like success and people at the top, and it's like there's a fine line with people pleasing and being kind, and also just going and getting it and doing your thing. And like, what's your take on that?
There are some people that I work with on the road that were just impossible.
Why?
And they seem to be able to work all the time. And if I would do anything, I once was at a club in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Shirley Hemphill from What's Happening told me when you headline, you get half your money up front and the other half in cash, at least by the last day. She said the first day, but I was, thinking, God, I'm not famous enough to do that. So I would, in my contract that I made up, I got it from the comedy union book they used to have. They used to have a comedy
smart.
union, and I printed it out, and I would fill it out, and I would say in cash on it. And one of them said, "Oh, we don't have the cash." I said, "Well, it was in the thing. We're gonna have to get that." And they were just like, "Why are you being so difficult?" I said, "Well, because number one, I said you guys seem totally nice, but I don't know you."
Yeah.
And I've never worked. So if somebody I worked for before, certainly I would take a check.
Yeah.
But I don't know these people. And I'd been stiffed a couple times, not a lot.
Yeah.
I think 2 or 3 times over a 40-year career.
That's not bad for how long.
But because I was always very careful about that.
Yeah. But people, it's funny talking about like kindness and being nice because.
But I wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to have a diva attitude at all. See, gay guys, Jewish women, black women, we're not allowed to.
Is it there now though?
I don't know. I think so. That's what I hear.
Well, when you walked in, you said, I can't work like this. But yeah,
I said, hey, I can't work unless I know exactly how I'm being shot because I know what, Mike Wallace
You've earned the right. How about that? You've earned the right to.
But I didn't ask stupid questions. I know what I'm talking about. When Barbara Streisand was on 60 Minutes with Mike Wallace, he said, "Do you want to control the situation with the lighting?" And she says, "Of course I do." She said, "Yeah. I don't trust you."
Yeah. How stupid are my questions so far on this
They're
show?
great.
Okay, good.
I'm going to let you ask. I'm talking too much probably.
No.
I'm very long-winded.
You're not. You're great. I think fun thing about podcasting is it should be open-ended. It shouldn't be. I do live TV with my day job. So like live TV, it's like it's like in a box.
I want to be on
You should be on next show or movie you do.
I want to
Come on.
sit right next to George Clooney again.
That'd be nice. He turned me gay I told you for a hot minute.
Did you?
Well, I look at Julie Roberts and George Clooney. I didn't know who I wanted to kiss.
I know. Because
they're both beautiful.
Oh my God.
So it's hard.
It is.
And they're the most famous people, to me.
I'm very attracted. When I was a kid, I was very attracted to Anne Margaret. I thought if I was going to go with a woman, that would be. She was so feminine and va 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 voom. I just loved her.
I am curious, and I don't like. I struggle with this in my own stand-up, my own career. I've interviewed every famous person you can imagine.
Really?
Most of them. Most people you've worked with. It's actually what's similar about us is we've shared screens with similar people, especially in TV and movies, right?
Oh, really?
But I'm always
never worked with Julia Roberts. I worked with George Clooney twice
there you go.
On his show Sunset Beat, that was produced by Patrick Hasberg, who did 21 Jump Street. And I played Marty, the nightclub owner, and I talked like this is the beginning of me playing.
The beginning of the deep voice.
Yeah, annoying Jews. It wasn't that deep then. And then I played that, and that show was about like 21 Jump Street. They were cops at night, and during the day, cops during the day, and at night they had a rock and roll band. And George Clooney had this long, gorgeous long hair. It was right before ER.
Nice.
And I thought, oh my God, and I learned the script backwards and forwards. And he said, let's just go in and do what we want. I thought, oh my God. And then I realized, that was when I realized I was good at improv. And Patrick Hasberg had my role recur.
Nice.
And I would make reference to some 1960s movie star or TV star always. I said, once I said, what are you, Marlo Thomas?
I love that you got your improv training opposite George Clooney. That's some good training.
He doesn't
right
know
there.
that though.
That's good.
But when he was doing The Descendants and he was doing the tour of it,
yeah,
and they're trying to get the Oscar nominations, all the award stuff. Judy
Dench?
No. The blonde, beautiful character actress.
I forgot.
Oh God, this is what Judy Dench. I saw her do one. I actually took a picture with her, and I was in line with a friend who wanted to take a picture. Then she said, "Okay, would you like yours?" And I went, "Oh my God, I guess so." And I was so nervous, and we started to talk, and I said, "You know what?" I said, sometimes I just get so nervous when I'm working. That's my biggest thing, is that I get nervous and think I'm going to forget my lines. And she said, me too. She said, I'm the same way.
That's
and
nice.
And I knew she was for real.
Yeah.
She was great. But anyway, so George Clooney's there, and Judy's there. And Judy and I had been in Jeffrey Tambor's acting class together. That's how I knew her. And I went to see it. So during the Q&A, I stood up, and I didn't ask a question. I just stood up during the Q&A, and I said, George, I have one thing to say. Every time you were nominated for an Academy Award, and you will be for this movie, they will show a clip of the worst show you ever did, which is hence called Sunset Beat, which I played Marty in. And they show the clip when you couldn't pronounce this word, and I am only there with the back of my head. Could you please at least give me just 3 seconds of screen time? And without a beat, he went, done. And the whole audience screamed.
That's awesome.
And Judy went, Jason?
That's so funny.
What are you doing
here? Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
I was curious about. I want to hear a story. I'm insecure about telling stories about celebrities on stage because I don't want to seem name droppy. But I'm asking you now in this podcast because I'm curious. Is there a funny moment over your long career that has stood out? Whether it's you got so nervous you forgot your line opposite somebody, or
oh yeah, recently I was doing Goliath.
Nice.
That's a Billy Bob Thornton series that David E. Kelley created on Amazon, and I played Charles, and I was the head of the some company that did all drug companies. I was the head of the board of this drug company, and I come and I work for right under Bruce Dern. So Bruce Dern was there, 2 Academy Award nominations. J.K. Simmons there, Academy Award nomination and win. Tony, I think he has a nomination.
Love the way he talks.
Yeah, he scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And of course, the guy who was the director had been on Parenthood for 400 years. And then, of course, Haley Joe Osment from the I See
Still Seeing Dead People, yeah.
Also, he plays Billy Bob Thornton's son, also Oscar nomination. So, of course, I tried to bring up my Glitter Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Coffee Date with Sally Kirkland, but nobody seemed to be interested. No, so I'm doing this scene, and it's right during COVID, and when people went back to work, and it's supposed to be at a conference table in a room, and they changed the whole thing, and it's in this big house that's where the famous rich guy lives, J.K. Simmons, and we rehearse it, I'm fine, and then he tells me to do something different, and I completely blank, and I just go, oh God, forgive me, and then J.K. says, Jason, you're here for one day. It's okay, man. And I just did it again. And then he came into the scene. And I don't know if he did this purposely, but instead of saying my name, Charles, he said, Jason. He said, oh, sorry. And he was just so lovely.
Oh.
Though he was hard-ass in his part. There was not a lot of conversation between us because we played rivals. And I'm supposed to play somebody that I know that tells him that this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And there was no choice. I was there to give, Bruce Dern pushed me in front and said I had to give the bad news.
Right.
And Bruce Dern, boy, him and I talked forever about coming home and how the whole film was practically improvised and how he had this great monologue that was written. And then they just said, what I want you to do is take off your clothes and just walk into this ocean and that's going to be it. And that was his first Oscar nomination.
Wow.
And he said, God, that's when I really learned that you don't have to have this great speech. It's the way Hal Ashby was the director, who was also a brilliant editor, because he was an editor before he was an actor and made that film.
Whoa.
He did Shampoo and
Sure.
So many other wonderful, wonderful films.
Well, what you're describing, what I love, and I always try and tell myself this in stand-up and acting, whatever, interviewing big stars or whatever it might be, we get in our own heads and we lose perspective on what we're actually doing, and it's like a mental practice. I think the greats, there's just a way that we go like, this doesn't really, it matters. But if you think it matters, it doesn't really matter.
I said to the director, I said, I'm so sorry. Afterwards, I'm still obsessing about it. And he said, Jason, we're not going to use the scene. We're not going to use the take where you forgot the line. We're going to use the one where you nailed it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
you're human.
Exactly.
But I think what's hard, and I think it's for everyone's jobs, just to make it more broad, but like the second you think, I need to nail this, and if I don't, I'm fucked, you lose the luster a little bit.
It's when you're there for one day, it's really hard.
It must be.
That's the hardest thing.
You want to nail it.
It's funny because when I don't think I've ever really forgotten lines when I'm there for a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't forget one line in Birth of a Nation, not once. And I remember being in Coffee Date. That was a big part, not a line. Puff Puff Pass. Mekhi Phifer directed me in that. And every single comedian you could think of, from Saturday Night Live to SCTV, was in that movie. It was so much fun.
That's fun.
Oh my God, everybody was in it. You name a comedian, they were in it.
Wow.
A lot of them are in prison now. Danny Masterson was the star of that movie. But I don't know. It just seems like when you're there, one day is just so
It's a finite
hard.
amount of time to get it right.
Well, it's just because you don't. It's like you're at somebody else's house for dinner.
You're just visiting.
You know, I was there. I did 2 episodes of Will and Grace, and one of them I was cut out completely, and one of them I had barely a line in it. I was hired as a guest star.
Oh.
Hold on, I'm going to sneeze.
You're allergic to this story because it's.
Well,
it
Glenn
sucks.
Close was there in the second episode I did.
God bless.
Oh,
You got it?
hold on.
Are you resisting a sneeze? You could let it out. I'm not afraid of
I
you.
can't. It just won't come.
I've never seen somebody holding a sneeze that well.
I don't know. It wasn't holding. It just wouldn't happen.
But you literally told you. Speaking of acting, you're so committed. You're like, do not sneeze, and it just went away.
So the second episode of Will and Grace that I did, Glenn Close was the guest star, and she was sort of like an Annie Leibovitz type of character, and she was a little rattled because they changed the dialogue on that show so much. They never really let you rehearse on that show. If the joke didn't work, they think of 6 others. And she, was not used to working like this in episodic television. She's a movie star. And I remember sitting off to the side. I said, Glenn, can I get a picture with you? And she goes, oh, honey. She says, I'm so crazy right now. I said, I don't have makeup on. I've been nominated for Academy Award, whatever times. And I've never been this nervous. And she was so sweet, and so wonderful and so real.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, okay, so it's hard for everybody. It's not, it's not easy what we do. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to CBS TV City on Beverly Boulevard in Fairfax. I used to go watch the shows.
Whoa.
And I remember going to see B. Arthur and Maude. I will never forget
Get
this.
out.
And she was about to come into a scene, and you'd watch. When you watch a TV sitcom being done, you could see them walking in and come.
Yeah.
And she was about to come in, and she was shaking her foot, and she was just doing this thing, and I thought, oh my God, she's nervous. And this is B. Arthur, Emmy-winning star of one of the big hit sitcoms, and I thought, okay, it's okay.
That's what helps all of us. There's a humanizing to all the greats, and everyone's in their head, and you could win awards and have all the money. You still are, trying to do your best and human. We forget though.
And people will say all the time, how is this person? How is this person? Well, they didn't talk. They weren't very nice. I said, they're not there to be your friend.
Yeah.
They're there to do a great job.
Especially acting. Actors,
my
you guys
God.
get very weird if you're in a role. It's not you can't get an impression of you as a person if you're in a role with, doing something horrible, you're a mean guy or whatever, you're in the role, right? It's different.
I was on The Closer with Kara Sedgwick. And I had a really great part. I played this guy who was a manager of a storage facility, and he was being interviewed about this dead body that he found in a box in the storage facility. And Kara, was there, and she had these headphones on almost the whole day because she was learning lines because she's got all this exposition to do. And when we did the scene, I had most of the lines in my big scene, and we did it. And she was so there for me. She was so fabulous and so present. And I could see her go, there was a click going, okay, I can work with this guy. And, and I remember the director came over and he whispered something in my ear. It's one of my favorite jobs. And he said, do this. And then Kara was surprised again because I love it when the director whispers in your ear.
And it surprises the
and
other.
does it because I don't like anybody else to know what the director is telling me to do.
Yeah.
I don't like the other actors to know. And he was so great. And that was a show that changed my career because I felt, that's when I fell into playing all the annoying Jewish guys.
Yeah.
And I had run into Kara and Kevin, and I had met Kevin on the set that day. Just by coincidence, he was giving these military guys a tour of the set.
Wow.
There. And I remember walking back from lunch, and I turned the corner, and I went, oh, Kevin Spacey. Not Kevin Spacey. Kevin Bacon. Kevin Spacey. Oh,
That was at the elementary school.
that
Sorry.
was
Too
no.
soon.
That's me. So I went, oh, Kevin Spacey. And then all these military guys laughed because I did that. So I knew him, and I think he remembered me from that. And I saw them together. We were at an Emmy party. It was an actors Emmy party because I'm in the TV Academy, and they invite everybody to this party, or at least they used to do that. And they would, because they want you to meet all the people so they'll vote for you. So I said hello to Kira, and I said, hey, I'm the guy. She says, I know who you are. You were the guy that came in, and every time you did the scene with me, you would do it just a little different. And you were just, I said, oh, wow, thank you. And she like remembered everything. And she was completely warm and friendly, but on the show, she was,
In the zone.
exactly. So you don't expect somebody to, drop everything.
That's a good perspective thinking about, we're talking about stand-ups not being super kind, but I guess if you think about it.
No.
Well,
No.
you think we still should be nice even
No,
though
I think stand-ups. Most of the work I've gotten in my career is because of other stand-ups.
me too, but I'm saying if I've ever met a stand-up who's not the kindest, I do wonder now. I'm trying to have empathy for maybe they're just like in their head about their set.
During the show, you mean?
Yeah.
When yeah, especially if someone's
Outside of it.
I remember Mark Roberts, and I hope he listens to this. He became a big TV writer, and I was the middle act for him in The Funny Bone in Nebraska. And I remember. I think it was 1990, because I remember the Madonna concert was on HBO, and they had it in the room. We got to watch the first half of it. It was really fun. And because I didn't have HBO, I couldn't afford it. And I remember he had to follow me. Now, I was crazy in those days, and I was really doing 30 minutes, which is the sweet spot.
That's great.
In a show, the opening act, the sweet spot, and then the headliner. And he had a very dry, very funny, but a completely low-key act compared to my crazy energy and my song at the end and all the things that I did in those days. And I remember he hated me. And I thought, why does he hate me? And I couldn't figure it out. I'm just trying to do the best job I can so I can move up to headliner, and they'll have me back the next time. And then I realized when I became headliner, finally, it's like a rock hit me in the head. When other people would come on and they were really dirty trying to blow me away.
Yeah.
Where they're doing 25, 30 minutes, and I have to do 45, 50 during, at the end of the show. And I remember thinking, God, and I tried to contact him, apologize. I don't know if he ever got the note or thing, but I tried to, but I really felt bad. I didn't get it then.
Yeah, but you can't not be entertaining to help the headliner, right?
But you can also
be funny.
not go crazy and not, I shouldn't have done my comedy song, knowing who I was working with.
It's an awareness maybe, but it's also hard. I think when you're starting, like you want to kill, like you want to do well. You can't just do okay if you're on stage.
It is a fine line, of course, of doing well. But I thought that it was inappropriate, and I guess they didn't realize how high energy and how low when they booked us together. They thought it would be a nice, change of pace.
Probably was, but he probably had to work really hard to get them back after your energy.
Well, because it's like I said, nobody wants to have sex with you after they've held your hand.
Right.
Yeah. No one wants to hold your hand after you have sex with them. I keep changing.
It made sense either way to me. The energy thing's a big thing that I've noticed too, and I actually now performing stand up so much, I really enjoy when I'm doing spots. I enjoy reading the energies because I usually am pretty high energy as well, but sometimes you're like reading.
You're ahead of them sometimes.
Yeah, I was pretty. You said I was ahead the other night.
You have to be careful to be with them. It's like singing with them. You have to let them in, back
sing,
and forth.
yeah.
And that audience we had, they were not as present. So one had to work a little harder, and you have to feel it. And sometimes you can't feel it.
Sure.
It's really weird. It's a learned craft.
When you're in the pocket with an audience, though, it's the greatest drug in the world.
Sometimes you just don't know where they're at, and you're watching. Like I'll go out and listen to the audience. Sometimes I won't watch the act as much as I want to listen to the audience. I don't like watching other comedians because I don't want their material in my head.
Yeah, I wonder that too. I hit somebody up.
That happens so much.
I know. A few months ago, I hit somebody up. I was like, "Do you have a joke about this, and this?" They're like, "No." But in my head, I was like, "I know. I must have heard this." Because you get like,
there's a lot of people the same age, same thought. Taylor Negron, who passed away, God bless him, wonderful comedian and actor. He used to do a bit about Bewitched, and I used to do a bit about Bewitched. And he thought that I stole it from him, and I'd never even seen his act. Mm-hmm. It's about there were two Darrens, and then they sort of switched the Darrens. They both named were Dick Sargent and Dick whatever, and they switched the Dicks. And it's a very common premise in those days. And he he was upset with me, and then we worked together at some benefit at a tennis club. And he went, "Oh, God, you're really funny, aren't you?" And I thought, God, he probably thought I wasn't even funny. And I remember once Carrie Snow, who you probably don't even know who he is, know who she is. She was a wonderful comedian, and I think she's just come back to starting doing comedy again. And she came over to me once at the Comedy Store and said, "You have my voice and cadence." And I was so afraid of people in those days.
Yeah.
I was so scared all the time. I still
Yeah.
am sometimes. I'm not a people person.
Are you doing these roles, these tough guy Jewish roles? Has it transformed your personality now? Are you beating people up in the alleyway off the camera or what?
The Jewish guys I don't play as much as anymore. That was more in the early aughts until around.
You stopped.
Well, what happened after the plantation owners, I became villains and racists and bad guys. Isn't that weird?
And has that bled into your real life? Because I saw you being pretty racist at that show.
What show?
I'm just messing with you.
No, not me. You mean the part I played? Yes,
I'm messing with you.
I played an anti-abortion leader in this film. I played a detective like Charles Durning, one of those old craggy detectives.
That's cool.
I played another one that was very precise, and in another film called The Immortal, that dealt in spyware. I played a lot of people that are really in charge of something, and and then on Judd Apatow's show Love, in the last season, I played a shrink that was very affected. And it's so funny because that's this funny story. Judd, I ran into Judd at the Laugh Factory, and I wanted him to see my series, the first season of my series, Smothered, and to see if maybe he'd be interested in it. So he gave me his email, and I sent it to him. And then somehow I found out that he was casting, or I don't know how it happened, but they were casting a shrink on a show. Mm-hmm. And he set up an audition for me with the casting director of the show. And boy, when you go in and the director, they're like, "Hey, how you doing? Didn't we have you here in Curb?" No, I never was in on Curb. Would have loved to, but never was.
Yeah.
And I went in and I read for them. And that was the last thing I read for in person that I got.
Whoa.
And I think it was 2018 or 19 I did the show. It was right before COVID. And I played this shrink, but I decided to play this shrink like he was just really didn't want to be there. And just sort of, like, "Yeah, God, Paul, you're really good at that." And they thought it was hysterically funny. I thought I was okay in it, but they were so sweet because I ran into the casting directors once at a movie theater. And I didn't really know who they were because, you're so worried at the audition. It's hard to remember who everybody is. And they said, "Oh, you were so funny in that." I thought, "Well, thank you." And then I went to New York right after I did that episode, shot it. And I went to go to the Comedy Cellar. I was going to audition.
Nice.
And I got an audition there. And it was right before COVID. And I was bumped by guess who? Judd Apatow.
That's amazing.
And the Espy, the woman who runs the place, my God, she's scary. And you can't sit in her booth. And I didn't know all this, I figured I've been around. But she barely said a word to me. And then Judd let me sit next to him in the booth.
So Judd saw you at the
Oh,
cellar.
yeah, he knew. Yeah, he knew. And I got to go in and watch his set.
That's cool.
And when he first started, he was not a good comedian.
Really?
When I knew him when he was a kid. No. And he knew it.
Yeah,
and then he became this really successful writer, producer, director. And then he started doing stand-up again. And I think he's absolutely, he really found out who he was.
I just saw him, actually. He did a benefit at Largo a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did he?
And I went with, we decided to go just randomly. And I think my wife's friend had tickets and we ended up all going. But I took, as a student of it, I really liked how, to your point, he was just so sure of who he was and just telling stories and having fun and not put on at all.
Well, he's famous.
That's a part of it, maybe, too.
Yeah, I mean, he can tell a story at Largo, which is very show business room.
Yeah.
And they know who he is.
Yeah, that helps a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, of course. I remember the first time I saw that happen was working in Jokers in Oklahoma. Shirley Hemphill from What's Happening came on stage, and she just said, the first thing she said, "What's happening, y'all?" And they went nuts.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's what it's like when you're famous.
I do think, though, stand-up still, the fame only gets you a couple
It
minutes.
lasts you around 10 minutes.
10, you think? I thought it was only a few.
It depends how famous you are.
Okay.
And it'll last, and then you have to start to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll die down eventually.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I'm sure you coming up in stand up too. You probably like. Is there anybody you saw developing that then got wildly famous as a stand up, and you were like,
Oh,
wait,
tons.
was it wild to
Sam
see?
Kinison.
Oh my gosh.
I was in Harvey Lembeck's comedy workshop with him and Carl LeBeau. God bless them both. They both have passed. But I thought, these guys are nuts. They're never going to make it. But I'm always wrong. So,
Are you?
Yeah. Drew Carey, never thought it. He was a friend of mine. We used to play board games at his house all the time. He was so nice to me.
Wow.
Once he gave me $1,000 for writing a couple jokes for his book. I mean, he knew I was so broke.
Wow.
He gave me one of my first guest starring roles on his show. He was
How
just
nice.
so great to me. And who else I didn't think was going to be famous?
That's so funny. Well, it's hard to see.
Damon Wayans, I knew it.
There.
I followed him at the Comedy Store to audition, and he was made a regular immediately, and I was made a showcasing regular, non-paid regular. But I'd only been a comedian. That was my first. It was the first place I ever did comedy.
The Store?
Yeah, auditioning.
Wow.
I had no idea. And who else did I just didn't think? I never thought Rhett Butler. I never thought that Roseanne.
Wow.
I thought, oh, this is a cute little housewife act. But then I see her come up again when she wasn't doing her TV set, and she was filthy dirty.
Yeah.
And I thought, how's she going to get on TV? The one thing I missed, and I'll never forgive myself. So in the belly room at the Comedy Store, I was going to see Whoopi Goldberg do her show called Spook Show, which later became her one-person show that Mike Nichols directed on Broadway that
Yes.
Spielberg saw and cast her in The Color Purple. And somebody said to me, and I hate saying this out loud because it was a comedian who's passed. I won't say her name. And she said to me, I'm going to see this gal named Whoopi Goldberg. She does these really great characters. And she says, don't bother. I hear she's not funny and she's ugly. And I thought,
Wow.
not funny, you know. And I thought, wow, I could have seen Whoopi Goldberg in the.
Oh, you didn't go? I thought maybe you
No,
went.
what an idiot.
Wow.
I went
That's
in the other
crazy.
room and I watched some of the other comedians.
Eh.
And I do not think Whoopi Goldberg is ugly. I think she's just adorable.
Yeah.
And I always have. And I think she's probably one of the most underrated actors ever.
She doesn't act anymore on The View. She's different now.
Well, she
but-
does. She did Till last year.
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
she
right.
produced
That's right.
the year
Yeah,
before
yeah.
last. And she was in a Stephen King thing and played God. She does parts and she does
Yeah.
an incredible amount of voiceover work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
it
she
is.
guests on shows.
That's
and
true.
stuff.
That's true.
But somebody's got to give her. They're doing Sister Act 3. of what
No
I
way.
hear.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and Shirley Ralph mentioned. I know she's an old friend of mine. I was at her house the other day, name dropping, and she said that she might be in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to make sure we talk about all your new projects before you go. So I know you have Smothered out now. How is that going?
My second season of Smothered is on. It's co-created by myself and Machera. We co-star, co-produced, co-acted. And it's on Amazon, and you can go to smotheredtv.com and watch it. And I find out on the 28th if I'm nominated for the Indie Series Award,
Nice.
which I was nominated for on the first season, which I won.
Nice.
I've got a number of club dates coming up. JasonStuart.com, Stuart, on the appearance page. And I have a film coming out, I think in this summer, that Eric Roberts is in and Paul Rodriguez, called Garlic Parmesan.
That sounds like my type of film right there.
Yeah, and I play a dad. I think I'm a gay dad. I think I am, who's runs a bad improv company in West Covina.
Wait a second. Wait, you don't know?
Well, it wasn't a big enough part to do that.
So you just.
I did it during COVID because I did,
Okay.
and it was fun. It was a little cameo kind of thing.
That's awesome.
And I'm in the midst of creating a little film that I want to do
That's great.
about called Redlining. I'm not sure that's going to be the title, about generational wealth.
Interesting.
And it's something I think is really an interesting subject that I wanted to do.
See, this is what I'm inspired by with you is you're a guy who's always, we talked about being, the hustle, the grind, and you know what you want to do. You do get to a point creatively where you know the stuff you want to do and you do the time to do it, right? It sounds like you're doing all the things you want to be doing. Is what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
do anything I don't want to do anymore.
I love it. Well, that means it's a big deal you're on my couch.
Ah.
because you could have not wanted to do this.
No, I really do. I really
That's
do.
what I'm saying. So I appreciate you coming, but I think that's a luxury to get to that point in your creative and professional career where you go like, I want to do what I want to do. I can say no. That's a superpower, I think, to it. So congrats on that. That's a big level.
You know what it is? It's and I coach people now a bit. I love the work.
Yeah.
I really do. I love the craft. And when I talked about, feeling weepy about the Oscar, that idea, it's because when you are in that group of people, you get to work with those people. And there's some people, like I always wanted to work with Sidney Lumet and Sidney Pollack and Penny Marshall and all these people. So many people have passed that I wanted to work with. And they're, that was my passion, to be a part of the vision and fit into the how to figure out how to fit into that filmmaker's idea or creative picture of what they wanted to do. I love doing that. People say, do you want to be a lead in films? No. I like being a character actor. I like being able to work really hard on my couple scenes or my 10 scenes or whatever it is, 5 scenes. And, and I love those actors. I love, like Don Cheadle and Geraldine Page and Maureen Stapleton, people that people don't even remember. Paul Giamatti and
of course.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, God bless him, and Lee Grant and
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg, all these great character actors that are just so, good at what they do. Their craft is so wonderful that you can't see it.
Well, yes, yeah, and it stands out because it's mighty. Like, it's not, if you're not the leading person, I'm saying you could steal the show in those roles as well.
But that isn't it about it for me. For me, it's about telling that story and being a part of it.
Yeah.
And you're the guy that did this.
Yeah.
You're the guy that did this and got shot in the head. You're the guy that was. So one person said to me once at a party, he said, oh, you're that guy that's in all those funny movies, and you'll come in and say something funny, and then something will happen, and then you'll say something funny and leave.
Yeah.
God, I wish you'd come back. I said, me too.
That's a sweet spot, though, to be in. And also, you said something about not people not even realizing, when we're good at stand-up, people don't realize the work that goes, how hard it is.
Oh, my God.
So it's the same thing.
If it doesn't look easy.
If it looks easy and effortless and like it's the first time you said it, you're at a high level.
That's my goal always.
It's so hard.
And also to emotionally put myself in that place. It's hard, to go up and put yourself in that place for like, a 20-minute set. Or it's hard because when you're doing it that day, you sort of, you're thinking about it all day, and it's in your mind. And it's like if you're doing an audition that day, it's a part of who you are.
Yeah.
I had to do an audition for Stranger Things recently, and it was this part. I shouldn't tell about this guy. I won't say what he was. That gets shot, and there's a lot of fear, and fear is the hardest thing to play. And I was in my apartment by myself, like a crazy person trying to figure out how to play that part, and I just I couldn't do it. And then when I started working with my friend, I did it on the first take.
So you were there. Did you submit the audition? Do you know if you got Stranger Things?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well, then maybe we'll see you in that next season.
Yeah. Maybe.
We don't know yet. Well, I'm grateful you came here for a little moment and hung out with me. Did you have fun?
I had more fun than life itself.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You're just saying that.
I'm just having such a great... No, I am. I could talk to you for hours.
I'm so glad. Well, we did a good chunk. I'm stopping us in a minute because I think your latte's here. So I'm making sure you get your... Oh, yeah, it's here. See, isn't that amazing technology? I love it.
Is it one of those little things that go?
No, I make sure it's an illegal person who's under 16, and I make them run here. And
have you seen those little boxes that look like?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a robot
around with a thing.
Listen, next time you come on, it'll be a robot. By next year, it'll be a robot. I'm sure.
I won't even be here. You'll have a person.
You'll be AI.
You'll put together all my interviews that I've done over the years. And
I know that'll happen too. Probably. Actually, I think this podcast is fun for me. I'll be AI'd very soon too. There's enough footage of me. It's easy.
I'm going to be AI and AB and C D F LMNOP.
Oh wow, we're back to the the acronyms for the queer. No, that's what you're saying before.
Oh my God!
It's a callback.
I don't even know what the last A is for.
Well, listen, guys, make sure you check out Jason everywhere at Jason Stuart.
JasonStuart.com.
JasonStuart.com.
Stuart.
And what about your social media?
Stuart. If they just go to my website, you can.
It's all there.
Because I joined everything in a different. So one is the Jason Stewart.
Oh, you got all over it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just go to my website and everything is there.
Check him out. Watch everything he's in. But also, if you're around where he's performing, he's hilarious on stage. Go see him perform stand-up comedy, and hopefully, I'll come see you and be with you on stage again sometime soon.
I would love that.
That'd be great. Jason, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
See you next time, guys. Bye, everybody. We're drinking coffee. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. I want to remind you again that this episode was brought to you by Barefoot Dreams. Cozy chic fabric on every product they make and other things they make, like furniture, things for the house, decor, everything you could ever think of they have. Like you go into their shop, it's based in Malibu, California, and you're like, I want that in my house. I could have that in my house. I could have that in my studio. I implore you to check them out in person if you're in the California area. And if not, you can also get money off because they're a part of the pop-up show. Put in the promo code POPUP15 for 15% off your first purchase at barefootdreams.com. See you next week.